What would be the most inefficient way to organize books in a library? By weight. By author's weight. I'd be interested to browse the cookbooks then. It'd be handy though. If you're looking for healthy recipes, pick lower weight. If not and just looking for good food, go to the high end. Spines facing in. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Former B&amp, an employee. I once had a group of teenagers who thought it was funny to turn every book backward on an entire bookcase. It wasn't funny. If it was the mystery section, it's a little funny. Angry upvote granted. By date the library acquired the book. There is a library that does this. It's the Finnish Warehouse Library. It helps other libraries by borrowing books to them. Since it is not open for public, the books are placed in the order they are acquired. Oh, neato. That would make it easier to disseminate books, as newly acquired ones would likely be in higher demand. Probably the biggest advantage is you don't need to move anything when new books come in. You can fill each shelf fully without worrying about overflowing when you add stuff. Usually you would leave room on each shelf for expansion. The bookshelf in my room is organized by how much I like each book. And it's not linear either. My favorite books are on the shelf that is at eye level. Second favorite books are on the shelf above the first. Third favorite books are on the shelf below the one at eye level. And so on. I imagine a public library organized by my personal opinion would be extremely inefficient. Imagine a library organized by book popularity though. Every time the book gets checked out, it moves up a spot. New books are in the back and well-read books at the front. That might be annoying if you need a particular title though, but if you want to read something no one else has touched in 100 years, it's great. But then it's checked out and jumps up several stacks. Smell. I would love to go to the sweet-smelling section. Those are the kids' books. Kids smell funny, Dr. Grant. Asterisk, this is actually how my local library is organized. Asterisk, by name of book. Holy beep, it's a cluster beep in there. Nothing is organized by genre or by the name if the author. So Animal Farm would be located right next to Anne of Green Gables, which is right next to Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. But 1984 would be next to Three Blind Mice by James Patterson. It's the most inefficient system I've ever seen, and I honestly think the manager may be a beep asterisk asterisk. I mean, if you know the name of the book, it's not too bad. If you're like me and just browsing for a good murder mystery, it's horrible. Just look under M for murderousness. Author's mom's maiden name. The third letter of their great-grandmother's middle name. That would be the worst. By the number of times the current day of the week is mentioned. This one is nice because it requires constant reorganizing, so on repeat visits, you still have no idea where anything is. At least Robinson Crusoe will be easy to find. Separate each individual page, and organize them alphabetically by what is printed on each page. How did you mind come to that? You heathen. Who hurt you? S. Separating them into pages feels like it breaks the rules of the question, since you're now organizing pages, not books. I just do it by organizing them by word count or page count. Perhaps by spine height, then by page count. Yes, I like that. The books just get bigger as you go. The bigger the better. No, it's legit. We'll keep the spines on the shelves in perfect Dewey alphabetical order. And on each ripped out page, we will run a piece of string to the exact right page, which is somewhere in the enormous heap of all the pages in the center of the lobby. So, they're all still books, just with pointers. And of course in books that have indices, we also use string from the index entry to the referent. Citations to other papers. You beep betcha. And every kind of reference is in an ever so slightly different shade, running from Dayglow Yellow to Dayglow Orange. You wanna know who hurt me? 30 years of software development and big company bureaucracy. Every book is keeping some kind of piece of furniture leveled. Hey, so where can I find this book? Under the cactus with a broken planner. K. An arbitrary decimal-based system that assigned random numbers to subjects that then has to be learned in order for the system to be used. Let's also omit sports as a subject for some reason. Let's call this system the screwy decimal system or something like that, but with alliteration. But sports can be a subcategory and we'll give it the 790s or something like that. And then every few years we'll have to update the categories, adding more subcategories with ever-increasing strings of numbers so even the most remote and obscure subjects can be categorized by the day that were released. Not year, but day. So a book about Mario released March 10, 2017 won't be ordered with other 2017 books but with every book ever released on March 17, also taking into account hours, then minutes, then seconds. If a book was released at the exact same time as another book, flip a coin. Oh, that's good. My favorite inefficient method so far. By the color of the book. As a librarian, I would have to say some days this would actually make it easier for people to find their book. I've said many times we need a searchable color description field in our database so when someone comes in looking for that purple book they read 5 years ago, we might be able to help them. Ah yes. Unfortunately, the purple version is checked out, but we did get a hold of a copy from a later printing. It is over in the #A64120 section. Put all the books in a pile on the floor. Bring in some 5-year-old children and tell them that as soon as all the books are back on the shelves, they can have ice cream. Asterisk all the ice cream. By number of words. Assuming similar font sizing, that would lead to a pretty clean increasing book width throughout the library. Also, yes, that would be an extremely unreadable library. It would be awfully satisfying to look at but a beep to find anything in. Haha. My first thought was that the aesthetic efficiency was through the roof, but then I imagined trying to find anything at all. By category, is a book, or isn't a book. Put it on the is pile. By pH level. I agree that would be useless day to day, but it actually might not be terrible for archival purposes. It could help librarians prioritize which books are most at risk for acid degradation. The number of full stops in the book. This would pretty much end up just being ordered by size roughly. Wouldn't be too bad. By age of author and days, and if they are still alive it has to be moved. The poor librarians and volunteers. Randomly. With the librarian bringing out a different book every 5 minutes and asking if that was the one you were after. And the book is selected randomly asterisk with replacement. Asterisk, that is, if you reject a book, it isn't disqualified from being selected again. By the book's spine height. Different editions of the same book will be put in different places according to their height. By where it lands after being fired from a clay pigeon thrower. Run the title through Google Translate into a different language, then alphabetize them by the different language. By second letter in author's last name. I think first letter of the first sentence would be worse. I usually know the last name of an author of a book I'm looking for, but with the exception of like A Tale of Two Cities or Anna Karenina, who knows the first line of a particular book they're looking for? Plus I bet tons of first sentences start with A or the, also adding to the inefficiency. Author's star sign. By thickness of cover stock. By the way they smell. It's just one big jumbled category of smells like paper. By first letter of the author's last name only. Think about it. No division by genre for fiction. Horror with science fiction, with chick lit, with poetry, with erotica, with romance, with thrillers. My library does that and it's a nightmare. You can't find anything by just browsing. Or it takes you hours. By the sound made when dropped onto a pile of peeled bananas. I'm tempted to upload a pic of the grocery bags full of books in my closet. Do it. By trying to create phrases with the first letter of each book, thus creating a book with the titles of the books. For example, Ireland, Frank Delaney, Nana, Emile Zola, Alaska, James A. Michener, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, J.K. Rowling, Odyssey, Homer, Live and Let Die, Ian Fleming, East of Eden, John Steinbeck, Stephen King, Neuromancer, William Gibson, Travels with My Aunt, Graham Greene, Herzog, Saul Bellow, Emma, Jane Austen, Ghosts, Henrik Ibsen, Redshift, Alan Garner, Orange Book, TCSEC asterisk Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria, asterisk Computer Security Standards UBIC, Philip K. Deep Nature, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Dark Carnival, Ray Bradbury, Trainspotting, Irvine Welsh, Heidi, Johanna Spyri, Encyclopedia Britannica, Volume 14 Red Rabbit, Tom Clancy Endgame, Samuel Beckett Leloy, Roger Vaillant Inside the Atom, Isaac Asimov Boss, Patrick White Europa, Tim Parks Deja Dead, Kathy Reichs Axiomatic, Greg Egan How to Be an Alien, George Mike's Organic Chemistry as a Second Language First Semester Topics, David Klein Bliss, Peter Carey Bel Canto, Ann Patchett Elliott, Homer Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson. Keepers, how long did that take you? Exactly 14 minutes. Categorized by taste. The Snosberries taste like snosberries. By how many times the author published books. Oh look, a new book from Jim? Time to reorganize everything. By what font they use. By the age of the author when the book was published. Different editions equals different ages. If they're a book they go in a library, no further organization needed. Most bent corners to least bent corners. Pour them laid down beside each other on the floor. You get a new floor. If you have any books remaining, start on the new layer and so on. To get the book on the bottom layer you need to remove the ones on top first. The books must align to make an airtight packaging. By order of amount of lowercase size in said book. By ISBN number. ISBNs are easy to look up though, and since the digits increase by publication date, you're sorting the books by date, which means even without knowing the ISBN of your book you can just search by publication date, alphabetically by the last word of the title, Reddit style by the number of times a book has been borrowed, by location of the author currently. Easier for dead unless they have been scattered to the winds. The people who turn their books around so that the spine is towards the rear of the bookcase baffle me. I heard that it's done to create a more uniform appearance, but how do they find anything? They want it to look uniform and also don't read books in several book pits surrounding trampolines. Test their flammability, then arrange it accordingly. The color of the book. I have a large collection of books filling up 2 bookshelves and some desk space. The vast majority are World War II books, with the sprinkling of World War I, American Civil War, Irish struggles, Stephen King works, and spy novels thrown in. I organize my books based off of theater, campaign, year, faction, and biographical or more history over